I'm sitting next to this guy, and we're just having, typical airplane conversation. The plane goes way to the other end of the tarmac. All of a sudden,
cops come in the airplane, right?
I see a SWAT truck pull up. And this guy next to me is like, what in the world is going on? And I said, actually, I think they're here for me.
Hello, welcome back to our show. I'm Virgil and we're back here with Jesse, Dr. Haggard. So last I remember, we spoke about you calling the DEA, correct?
Correct.
Awesome, let's get into that.
So I'm in Costa Rica. I've put all the research together, not only for my case, but my book as well, which I was really hoping the book was going to exonerate me, but we'll talk about that later. But I had everything done. I felt very confident in my ability to come back and defend myself, especially even to a jury of my peers, that here's the science, here's what I was doing, and I don't think that I'm guilty of any of these charges.
So you thought you just had all the evident material to just prove and walk away like free
I felt
clean.
very ironclad about it.
Awesome. And what did they tell you when you said, I am ready to do this? Did you call your lawyer, or did you have to bounce back internet stuff again, or what?
No, I called the lawyer and I said, I think I'm ready. And he says, all right. He said, why don't you call the DEA and see, he's like, I've never done this before. I don't know how this whole situation works. So he's like, why don't we just call them directly and see what they offer you? I said, all right. So I contacted the DEA and I said, hi, my name's Jesse Haggard. I'm a fugitive. I have a warrant out for my arrest.
That just sounds so weird coming from you. You know what I mean?
What happened next was crazy, is the person hung up on me. And I was like, wow, we just got disconnected. And I'm like, maybe I'm in a foreign country. I don't know. So I called back and they hung up on me again. And I said, hi. I said, I just called back to try to turn myself in. And I said, I got hung up on twice. And the person on the phone says, yeah, we don't get those kind of calls. And I said, well, am I calling the right number? Like, this is the DEA, right? Yeah, this is the DEA. Okay, well, I have a warrant out for my arrest. Before you hang up, can you look my name up?
Yeah.
And so the lady looks my name up and she's like, oh my gosh, you do have a warrant out for your arrest. I'm like, okay, so I'm in Costa Rica. And she didn't believe me.
So she's probably like, wow, I just caught a fugitive. She's probably,
yeah.
I'd be like, hell yeah, this is money in my pocket.
So anyway, then she's like, well, I need to transfer you to the right people or whatever. So I start talking to the right people, I guess, at the DEA. And I negotiate with them. I said, look, I have all the data. The only reason I left was because I didn't have all of my data organized. And I got charged with 37 charges with the medical board. And then the DEA had their own charges and so forth. I said, I was just trying to build my defense. And so I said, I built the defense, I feel very good about it, and I'd like to come in and go to trial. And so the guy says, all right, and we go back and forth negotiating, and we negotiated that I would fly into Florida because there was no direct flight from Costa Rica to Phoenix, and the drive was so scary the first time, I wasn't going to do that again.
I was about to ask, but how was the drive back?
No, I got on a flight, and I was flying into Florida, and then I was supposed to be meeting a DEA agent in Florida, and then getting from there, they were going to check me in, and then fly with me to Arizona. And then my parents were living in Arizona at the time, and they agreed and signed a bunch of stuff that they were going to have me on house arrest, and I was going to live with them while I was going through trial. And then I wouldn't need to go to jail because I'm turning myself in voluntarily.
I bet that was a lie.
So
it was.
On the way to Florida, it's, 4 or 5 hour flight, and I'm sitting next to this guy, and we're just having, typical airplane conversation, and I don't bring any of this up to him, right? We're just talking about Costa Rica and miscellaneous things. And then when we land, the plane goes way to the other end of the tarmac. And there's kind of some chatter, and the guy next to me is like, what is going on? Where are we going? And then all of a sudden,
cops come in the airplane, right?
I see a SWAT truck pull up, and 8 dudes get out.
I bet you were so embarrassed.
And this guy next to me is like, what in the world is going on? And I said, actually, I think they're here for me. He looked at me like I was crazy. He said, "Come on, what did you do?" Man, long story. We could have talked about that the whole time. So they board the plane and they put me in handcuffs and take me down the runway. And
were you like waving at everybody like hi? Were you like in the back of the plane?
No, I was in the middle of the plane.
Oh, you're in the middle of the plane. So at least you were in the very back so everybody could see you.
But I mean, it was a wild thing. So they take me back, and of course, do we take the truck? No. We had to walk like a half a mile when I'm in handcuffs, and
they treated you like a true fugitive, like you murdered the world. Like that's so jacked up.
At that point, I really got treated like a local drug dealer, like not a physician who had a DEA license, went to medical school, did everything properly, prescribed drugs in my scope of practice. I got treated straight up like a drug dealer.
I don't know, like that's just insane. And like you turned yourself in and they still treat you like that. That's just insane to me.
Yeah.
Did you end up going back to Arizona at all?
No.
So you were locked up in Florida.
So they locked me up in Florida.
So they lied to you over the phone, basically.
Yeah, and what's crazy is they pulled out all these things like, oh, well, we actually couldn't do that because it's impending other investigation and we got to keep you in that court system. So the other people that were in my group of doctors and pharmacists were all in Alabama. So even though I was practicing in Arizona, I was ordering testosterone from a compounding pharmacy that was producing it not in cottonseed oil.
Got it.
So I was ordering it from this pharmacy, because it was a compounding pharmacy, to my office, so I had it in stock for patients in order to dispense testosterone to the patients directly, or do injections in the office and whatnot.
Yeah.
So I was being charged and trialed in Alabama. But I get there in Florida, and so I stayed at the first jail in Florida for like 3 weeks. And when I got there, that was wild. This is the time where there was like a bunch of Haitians coming in like on rafts and stuff. And then U.S. didn't know what to do with them all because they were coming in droves, like.
So you were stuck in all that.
Yeah, so half the population in the jail was either Haitian or Puerto Rican, but there was like 3 white guys in there.
So you were the outcast.
Well, I was tan, and I could speak Spanish. And these white guys came up to me and they're like, "Man, are you white?"
You're like, "Donde?"
I'm like, "No habla inglés."
Yeah, dude. See?
So I absolutely pretended to be Hispanic, and for good reasons. Yeah, jail's no joke.
Yeah, so you rolled with the Hispanics instead of the white boys.
They took care of me too. Like I blended right in. So I was there for 3 weeks, and then they wanted to transport me to Alabama.
Were you still being Hispanic?
My tan wore off after a few months. but in the beginning, absolutely. It depended on the jail too. But I went to 3 different jails in Florida within like the first 2 months. And then I went to 3 different jails in Georgia in like another, 2-3 months.
So you were just getting plowed around everywhere, huh?
when I would show up to a new jail, they're like, "Man, you got into that many jails in what period of time?" They said, "Yeah, they call that diesel therapy." They said, "You must have really pissed somebody off." I'm like, I don't know. I mean, is this just the jail system on how they transport?
How long did it take you to get back to Arizona from turning yourself in Florida?
A year.
Damn. Well, you met a lot of different people, I guess.
A lot of different people.
So when you landed in Arizona and you finally got here...
Oh, no. We're not even close to that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So then I'm in all these different jails, and while I'm going to all these different jails, the DEA is coming to visit me on a regular basis. So they offer me a deal right in the beginning, like the first jail I was at. I got this deal offer. My other attorney wasn't a federal attorney, and these were all federal charges because it's the DEA. And I had to get a new attorney. So I had a new attorney that was a federal attorney, and not cheap.
I'm sure.
And he was allowed $60,000
for the whole thing?
up front.
Oh yeah, and that's not including the hours he puts in?
Yeah, it was not.
Did he help you win? Did he help you do anything? Was he good?
He was very good on a couple things. So when I first got there, they wanted me to be an expert witness
To snitch,
to snitch on the other doctors.
which you wouldn't do. We learned that. We know
Well, the thing is, they wanted to be an expert. I mean, they already had the doctors in custody, or they were going to.
that. Wow.
But
So
they
they're
said-
probably putting those doctors to make them snitch as well. So y'all are snitching out each other and scaring you. I know how this shit works.
Well, they said because I wrote a book that I was now one of the leading experts on testosterone therapy, and they wanted me to go against the other doctors to say that they inappropriately prescribed testosterone. And I was like, why would I do that? Then that means I'm guilty.
So I'm gonna tell on them to tell on myself. That makes a lot of sense.
No sense.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And I just kept saying no. I was like, no, that's
So then they
stupid.
got more mad at you.
So then they just kept visiting me, and my attorney's like, no, they keep saying this is the deal on the table. This is the deal on the table. And I said, man, I'm real confident in being able to win this.
So I don't want to do your deal. Thank you very much.
And everything just kept getting delayed. And I'm thinking, man, I went to 8th grade. I had your basic civic stuff.
Yeah.
Like, don't I have a right to a speedy trial?
Yeah, so they postponed it long and long and long. But
It kept getting
Did you get time
postponed.
served though when you were in the jails?
I did eventually.
Well, that's
However, I didn't want to do any time.
Yeah, especially if you're innocent and doing the legal thing.
I felt like I could prove myself, and over time, there was this other group of doctors and pharmacists that I told you about out of Mobile, Alabama, and they all got prosecuted, or their trial all happened, and they lost.
Oh, so you were getting a little nervous now.
They all lost. So even though I felt like I was in the right, them losing first, and I'm somewhat attached. I was actually supposed to be in that trial with them, but because I had fled the country and they came back later, then the trial was happening while I was in custody.
Ah, so then they trialed you afterwards.
But the trial had already started. And
What
then
happened to them?
So my attorney said, well, he hasn't even been there in the beginning. And so he got my case disassociated with the group case.
What happened to the group people? So they caught proven guilty. What happened to them? They go serve jail time or something?
The main pharmacist involved that owned the pharmacy, they got like 10 years each.
Oh my God.
Uh-huh.
That is insane.
It's insane.
So you're like getting real nervous now.
I was getting really nervous, and my attorney said, look, if you take the deal and admit guilt to a couple things, then most likely you'll be able to get your license back. And I do want to address the license thing. So when I was in Costa Rica preparing for the case, preparing for the book, the Arizona Medical Board director, he offered my attorney, he said, look, same thing. Like, if he admits to poor record keeping, which is crap, my records were amazing.
Yeah.
Poor record keeping, and I even forget what it was, something else, that and surrenders his license, then we won't pursue prosecution. But that way, because of all of this politics stuff going on with Jose Canseco still, he says, look, we need to look like to the public that we're doing something about it. Like that, I mean, the whole thing, I just can't get over how political the whole situation was. It's just all about
When all
politics.
you were was helping people.
Not that I was doing anything medically
You were
wrong.
helping people. That's what you were doing, and you did everything right by helping people, making them cured, making them feel better, them signing their lives away to do it, and you still get punished.
But also, I think the other,
Court system's so freaking lovely.
well, the medical board's not that great either. So the medical board director, he was on the news talking about me and saying, yeah, basically I went rogue and I was way off my rocker. He said, he was prescribing testosterone to prostate cancer patients, and that's like fuel for the fire for prostate cancer.
And that's
Not
what you
true.
proved. And that's when you proved to everyone you're full of shit. And you know
Well, I didn't prove it. Harvard proved it. I kept track of all my
Clearly.
patients' results and monitored them. And it's like, go through my records and show me where I made it worse.
I understand, but it's still clearly pissing you off as we're here doing a podcast.
Yeah, I think one of the take-home messages is you really gotta, or our system
Sucks.
needs to have less politics and more science.
No, our system, what I believe our system is all about is literally setting you up for epic failure to where you have to prove guilty of something or else you're not going to get anything. You won't get away with everything. Like, they're going to charge you with 50 things, and you're going to have to plead guilty to a few of them like they're doing you a favor when they charge you with bullshit that you don't need to get charged for in the first place.
There was definitely, 37 charges of
dumb shit that you
pretty
did
nonsensical.
Just so that it looks like we're going to do you a favor, charge you for 2 things, and take all the 40 of them away. It's bullshit. They set you up for failure, and it's like, it's a money grab thing. That's all it is to me. Is all they are is trying to charge you a fine to make money, and when you pay the fine, you're good.
So back to being in jail, they keep offering me this deal. It's been, at this point, like 5 months-ish, and my attorney just said...
While you're still in jail, correct?
Yeah, while I'm still in jail. He says, look, my advice is to take the deal. They're offering 1 to 3 years.
Still a long time.
Still a long time. I'm already served 6 months. Or
6 months in, so about 2.5 to go.
5 months, whatever, at the time. And he said, and this thing just keeps getting delayed. And he says, I think they can delay it for a long time. Just keep delaying it and delaying it. And he said, you still get time served, but if you really think that you can win, then you're still going to be in here a while before you even get to trial, because they just kept having all these reasons to delay it or some other.
Well, here's the deal. I'm going to tell you what the truth is about that. They want to hold you in the jail to where you're so freaking miserable, to where you will plead guilty so they don't have to take you to trial, because A, it's going to cost them more money, and B, they want you to plead guilty to make you miserable in the jail to where you will finally give in. I've seen it happen with many of my friends and many people.
I think that was very true. I think that was largely the case. So finally, at that point, and I was miserable.
Yeah.
Jail sucks.
So you were this close to saying, fuck it.
Sucks.
You're like, fuck it, I'm going to plead guilty so I can get this over and done with, right?
Yeah, so at this point, I had been in like 6 jails.
Yeah.
And
you guys sucked.
And not one of them was better than the other. They all sucked. The other issue I had was I'm a kind of a small guy. I weigh $150, and I'm 5'7".
Let me ask you, did anyone try to get dirty hanky-panky with you?
No, that never. I didn't see anything like that. Regardless of what movies and TV shows talk about.
Well, that sucks. I'm just kidding. I'm totally kidding.
But no, I didn't see any sort of homosexuality at all the entire time I was incarcerated.
Interesting. Well, you guys see now, it's not like it is in the movies.
Not like it is in the movies. And the other thing, too, is that the Hispanic community, really protected me in the beginning.
That's cool.
But then on the second jail, and the third jail...
The white boys.
there was a lot more white people, and they pick on you right when you walk in the door.
Oh yeah, they want to see where...
They want all your stuff, your food.
Allegedly.
Not allegedly. They wanted it for sure.
I just like saying that because it sounded like a really fun word to say at the time.
But I got in a fight at every jail I went to after the first one when I didn't have the Hispanics to protect me.
Yeah, it sounds about right. Yep. Not that I know.
Yeah, but once you have a fight, and especially it happened early on, and the moment somebody tried to start picking on me, I escalated it quick. And so I would actually start the fight where they're trying to just bully me, and then I would just return it with a straight up fight.
So now we have Dr. Haggard, WWE UFC wrestler.
Well, so I was also in the military.
Yeah. So you kind of knew how to stand your ground.
And I also used to cage fight.
Well, there you go.
I used to box, cage fight. I did Muay Thai kickboxing. I did jiu-jitsu.
So they learned a valuable lesson not to fuck with the small guy.
I never lost a fight. That being said, there was this one guy who was just a little bit taller than me, a little bit bigger. Most of the guys I fought were way bigger than me.
Yeah.
But they all went to sleep real fast when I got on their back and choked them out. And then I'd wake them up.
And say, are you good?
Yeah. And then they realized I could have done some really bad things while they were sleeping. But this one guy, and it's funny, I guess he robbed like 10 banks or something. Like he was a violent person. And he did it with guns and all kinds of stuff. But yeah, he tried to pick on me right when I walked in. Because he actually had quite a few guys.
Okay.
But
so he wanted to be like the boss of the jail.
Yeah, he basically was trying to be the boss.
And he wasn't.
He was.
Until you came in.
But when I came in and we had a fight, and the guards didn't get involved at all. And most of the time they let the fights just go. There was only one time, and I'll get to that one. There was one time when the guards got involved, but the fight was already over. But this guy man, he was tough. He was he was really tough. And we're just, he knew the jail really well. Obviously, he had fought before. But the first thing he does is he backs me up to the cell and then just starts slamming me against the metal bunk beds. He broke several ribs right away. Man, that hurt. But I didn't back down. We kept fighting. And this fight went on, for no joke, about an hour. And he didn't back down. I didn't back down. And finally, we just looked at each other. And I said, are we cool? Can we stop this? And he said, yeah. He's like, man, you're a tough motherfucker. I was like, you're a tough motherfucker.
And then you guys became good friends. The respect thing happened, and everyone started kissing your ass there, right?
Everything.
And then you moved to another prison.
And then I moved to another prison.
You got your
another
respect
jail,
back.
to be specific. A jail. Another jail. I was in another fight in an open jail. They had, 50 beds, just all on the ground floor, no bunk beds, just all laid out. So it was a clear view with all the cameras. And these two guys, they were like at least 6 foot each, 220 each, and they were arguing. And this is one of those jails where they leave the lights on all night. And they were just, it was like 3 a.m, and they had been arguing for a long time. And they were really screaming and yelling. And finally, I said, if you guys are going to fight, just fight. But just, can you stop yelling? Like, I'm trying to get some sleep. It's 3 a.m.
Yeah.
And they're like, man, it doesn't concern you. And, then they call me a bunch of names.
And then you had to fight them.
And they're like, you want something? Why don't you come over and fight us? I'm like, okay. So I walked over there, and I grabbed one, and I choked his ass out so fast, and he hit the floor in like 10 seconds, maybe 15. And then the other guy, he didn't want to play anymore.
So then, did they all go beat him up because he didn't fight you?
No.
Oh, that's your
all the guards all of a sudden rushed in. I'm like, man, where were you? And these guys were yelling the whole time.
Yeah.
And they were pushing each other, and I'm like, man, you're gonna fight, hey, just shut up though. Just get it over with.
Well, at least you made one quiet.
So because I made him unconscious, then that escalated my situation.
So you had to go. You got points against your record.
No, they threw my ass in solitary confinement.
Oh my God.
Solitary.
Hey, at least you got your quietness.
I did get my quietness. I got.
Oh my God! So you were in a four walls all around you, huh?
I was in solitary confinement for about 6 weeks. Because the other thing too is they said, well, we're worried about sending you back into the population because we're worried that they're gonna gang up on you.
No, they wouldn't. They would have ganged up on the guy who pussied out on fighting you.
Well, that was their logic. So I was there for like 6 weeks, and then finally I got moved to another jail. But man, solitary confinement, that's rough.
Yeah.
That's really rough. And I only got to go to a half-court basketball gym once a week. My solitary confinement cell was pretty small. I mean, it had a desk, a bunk bed, which is weird because it's solitary confinement, a bunk bed, and about, I don't know, a 6x6 area.
To do push-ups.
To do whatever. And what's really weird is, like, after the first 2 weeks, I went to the gym to go walk. I was like, man, my legs are, my hamstrings are hurting so bad. Because I just hadn't been moving. I hadn't been walking, and I tried to pace. But it's hard to, like, get a good stride in a 6 foot area.
Yeah.
Do that. So I could totally tell I was having muscle atrophy.
Yeah.
I'm not doing so. Every time I finally, got gym time, and I was like running as much as I possibly could, or just doing like super long strides.
Get energy out, yeah.
But solitary confinement is rough. That is rough. But at this time, I went ahead and agreed to admitting guilt to 2 charges, which were ridiculous. Conspiracy to distribute drugs with the other pharmacists and doctors that were involved, and then conspiracy to commit money laundering. And the money laundering thing is so far-fetched to me. They were saying that because there was insurance involved sometimes, some patients had insurance and they would use that to get their laboratories or even pay for the doctor's visits. But they're saying because of my prescriptions were inappropriate or not medically necessary, and that's why I was distributing drugs, not incorrect prescriptions, that was money laundering because I generated all this other money through legal channels.
So they're trying to charge you for drug charging and then the money that comes with it.
Well, they're saying because I collected
money for insurance companies.
Money for the office visits. I collected money for the laboratories because
Wow.
I owned a laboratory.
Yeah.
In my office, we did a lot of in-house laboratories, and then insurance would pay for that sometimes. And so they're saying that I legally generated a way to get clean money from inappropriate prescriptions.
That is so messed up, dude.
That's, to me, I'm like, are you serious? Like, this is what I'm being charged with?
And you know, it's funny.
And those are the two they wanted specifically to charge me with, because anytime you say conspiracy, you can get a max of 10 years.
And you know,
that's what the pharmacists got in trouble, and the other doctors, because they made it all a group. That's why they wanted to charge me as a group, so they could charge you with conspiracy.
that is so fucked up. And you know what's messed up is, so they said, we'll only charge you with these 2 things, but we'll take the other 37 off, right?
At that point, I agreed to all that, and then I got transferred to more
Prisons.
jails.
And
then finally ended up in Alabama, where I had been for sentencing. I had to go to Alabama to get sentenced.
Did they extradite you to Arizona from there?
No, they did not. They were supposed to. And they did
So you
not.
stayed in Alabama the whole time?
The rest of it.
Yep.
So anyway, after I got to a new jail, and then I went to go get sentencing, I got sentenced to a halfway house.
So now you're a druggie. That's where they send the
well,
drug.
I was
That's
supposed
where they
to
send the druggies after sentencing.
I was supposed to go to a halfway house and be released. My family had been like very supportive this whole time, but I was being moved around so much that
They couldn't keep
I'm
up.
like, they're like, well, we're afraid if we show up, you're gonna be gone. I'm like, that's a real fear.
Yeah.
And so, what was nice though is all my family, my parents, brothers and sisters, they all came to my sentencing to kind of show their support. And I don't think it mattered, unfortunately. I think this judge just like, no, you fled the country, you shouldn't have done that. And didn't really, I feel like, take any of the context that I was a doctor that was prescribing medicine under my scope of practice, and that there's all these politics involved. I don't think she cared at all.
They really don't. They really don't care. They just go by what the DEA is probably telling them.
Yeah. She's like, oh, you're a drug dealer that fled the country.
Yeah, and that's what they look at. And everything that you showed, evidence and everything to back it up. Yeah, I believe that.
Well, that's
100%.
the whole thing, is the irony of it all is I took the time.
Were you in front of a juror?
No, it was just sentencing.
Wow.
I never had trial.
I would have took it all the way to fucking trial.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I was trying, that was my intention, but then when the other group of 10 lost, and they were doing similar thing that I was doing, I don't know all the details of their issues, like did they have true patient-physician or provider relationships? Were they doing stuff over the internet? I had no idea. I didn't have the details of that information, and neither did my attorney. But he's like, man, they lost. So that's what he said. He's like, if you do this, they said 1 to 3 years of total time. But if we go and fight this and you lose,
you're gonna have way longer.
It could be 44 years.
And that's that entrapment shit. That's what they do to you. If you don't take this sentence, where we're gonna give you a less sentence, and you take it to trial, you could go for 36 years instead of the 2 years we're gonna give you right now. That's what they do to scare the shit out of you to where you'll just take the plea. It's fucked up.
It's
so fucked up.
It's terrible. And so I didn't even know how long it was gonna be. So when she sentenced me to a halfway house, and then like 3 years of probation, and somehow afterward, there were no halfway houses available.
So you go back to jail.
So I went back to jail.
Yep.
And then I went from jail to prison. And because there's no halfway houses available. And I'm in prison in Alabama, so I can't have any visitation because all my family lives in Arizona.
Did you have to serve the full time, or was it like time and a half?
When I arrived at prison, the warden or whatever, he pulls me aside and says, I've been doing this for 20 years. And he says, you don't have a release date. He said, I've never seen that. He says, how much did they tell you you're going to do? I said, they didn't. I said, I'm supposed to be in a halfway house. He's like, that's not right.
So the warden had your back, kind of?
Yeah.
That is so messed up. So they sent you to a prison. They were going to let you rot there, basically, is what it sounds like to me.
So I just had no idea how long I was going to be there. And neither did my attorney.
So how long did you end up staying in the prison for?
Well.
And when did they tell you the information of how long you had?
They never did.
So you were just in there just hoping that one day you're going to get a leave?
Yeah.
How long were you there for?
I was there for 3 weeks.
Oh, okay. I thought it was going to be like years and shit.
so total time served was like 11 months and a couple weeks. So just under a year.
You made
Just
it like
under
you got lucky, bro.
I got lucky.
Lucky
And
as shit.
Here's what's really weird about this. And I'm not a real religious person, but I got to the point where I was just trying to make the best of what I had to work with. Because, I mean, don't get me wrong, I was depressed. I was like...
Yeah. Because you don't know
I
what's
had
going to
no
happen.
idea what was going on.
Yeah.
And I'm just like in there, and all you have to do is time to think about it. And so I tried to keep myself busy. And so I talked to the warden. He was a super cool guy. I said, look, I'm a physician. And I said, is there anything I can do to help out around here to do stuff? And he's like, well, I don't know. What do you have in mind? And I said, well, I noticed the majority of the people incarcerated, as well as your staff, are pretty overweight. I said, I've been doing medical weight loss for years. I said, what if I put together some nutrition classes? Do you think that would be cool? He's like, man, that would be great. So I started doing nutrition classes.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So you got to keep busy, and you kind of did some. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it worked out pretty good. And then I was at a prison where, right before I got there, I guess, they removed all the exercise equipment because I guess the inmates were getting...
Using them as weapons to beat the fuck out
No,
of
they were
you.
getting bigger than the
staff.
Yeah. And
You
so
know what-
they quit doing that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, so I couldn't really exercise. I mean, I could walk. But the funny thing was, there was like a weekend, I forget what holiday it was, but there was a holiday weekend, and the majority of the guys that were in my whatever block, they were all like maintenance people. Like they either worked in the kitchen or they worked in the yard. And so there was a holiday weekend and they had a lot of limited staff. And the way that this yard was done, you have this big hill that comes from like the base of where all the buildings are. Then it went down and there was like this little baseball field. But it had this big slope, and you couldn't see down there at all unless you actually walked down there.
Yeah.
And the guards were all super limited on staff, and so somebody had the idea, like, all right, let's get a bunch of soap from the kitchen. And he's like, I have all these black tarps for like that they use for
Slip and slide.
So we made a slip and slide.
Fun.
We made a slip and slide, and we were out. It was like the funnest time. Like everybody was just having a blast. And there may or may not have been hooch there.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. And, but it was just really fun. And it was like, seriously, we had a really fun time for like 2 or 3 hours. And at the end of the day, I was like, man, that was actually really fun. Like,
Right.
a really fun day. And I, for some reason, all my cares and worries
We're gone.
were gone. And when I came back to my bunk, took a shower and stuff, within like the hour, I'm just feeling good. I'm just like, I was like, started writing some letters and stuff just because I was like in a really good mood. So I was like,
Yeah.
this would be a good mood, good time to write a letter to my family and stuff. And the supervisor walks over and says, pack your stuff, you're going home.
That is so rad. So you got to slip and slide and go home.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, I don't know how the universe, whatever, like, okay, you learned whatever you needed to learn here, and now your cares are gone, your worries are gone, and then I left.
That's cool. Well, that's good. That's awesome.
And then, one other time, which I said in the beginning, like, why didn't I just fly home? I think it was when I went from Georgia to Alabama. I actually got on Con Air. And I'm like, why couldn't I get on Con Air in the beginning and just go straight there?
Oh my God, I would have been like TikTok.
I'm like, I went to 11 jails in 10 months.
I didn't get a Con Air one.
I know, and in between like number 7 and 8, I'm on Con Air. I'm like, why couldn't I get Con Air in the
Were you
beginning?
shackled with your feet stuff like
Yeah, that's an experience. So, but yeah, Con Air is a trip.
We're going to end the show for today until we get back to you for our next show. Stay tuned.
Follow my podcast on drjessehaggard.com.